Welcome to Have You Read Any Good Books? I'm Mavis Applewater, and this is Author Chat. Feel free to click like and subscribe. This week we are joined by an author whose books will keep you on the edge, just filled with twists and turns. I am, of course, speaking of Roselle Graskey. Her books, October Echoes, Life's Little Edge, and the Sanctuary series, which she co-authored with Shane Curry, are just some of the most exciting books you will read. And now, Roselle. And hello, Ro. Thank you for joining
Hello,
us.
everybody. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. How is it in Galveston right now?
Actually, it's really nice. It's not too cold. It's not hot. Humidity's not bad. It's a nice day.
Nice day in Texas. Awesome. Now, you are the author of 4 books:
Yes.
Life's Little Edge, which was 2005, and then October Echoes, 2006. And then you partnered up with the infamous Shane Curry, which, according to the very brief bio you sent me,
I
like
hate bios.
2 sentences. You're not allowed to play with Shane unsupervised. I could see that.
Yeah,
I
we
know
did a
you. I
road
know
trip.
him.
We did a road trip to Montana several years ago, and there was a minor kidnapping of slippers. So, yeah.
Yeah, you said you were doing a road trip with Shane, and my first thought is what could possibly go wrong with these two?
You should ask her
Uh,
about that one of these days.
I will. I'm going to invite her to do one of these. She thought she was going to get away from it. Aha. Well, I know they're fixing up the house too, because my first guest was there fixing up. Her wife was like demolishing. Bliss was doing the bathroom, redecorating. And Karen's like, "Oh yeah, I did the lighting." Like, of course you did. Overachievers.
Those two are just wow, so talented. It just makes me mad.
Really, Heather and I we should invite them over. We have a lot to do. Uh, you're former military, U.S. Army. You
Yes,
were MP,
military police.
yes, in Desert Storm.
Actually, when I was in Desert Storm, I was actually in the Army Reserve at the time because I was going to college
Right,
at Texas Tech in person. And their reserve unit, they didn't have any military police reserve units in that area. The closest one was Austin.
right.
I wasn't driving to Austin at all. So that unit is a was a civil affairs company. And basically what civil affairs does is the military goes through and blows the crap out of someplace.
Right.
And then civil affairs comes in and they arrange for things to be put back together. Local politics, police, utilities, water, schools, just rebuilding the infrastructure.
Wow.
So you normally have a lot of cop types in a unit like that. So my primary job basically during Desert Storm was guarding enemy prisoners of war. So that
Oh,
was, yeah,
I'm very impressed. I really am. Uh, so
I was
life's
much younger back then too.
yeah. Now, how did you get your start in writing? Was it out of experiences like that, or if I recall, you're out of the fanfic genre as well, right? Or is
Sort
that
of,
sort of
sort of. According to my mother,
okay?
I have been writing since about the age of 5.
Yeah.
So, um, mom was great in one respect, well, a lot of respects, but the greatest thing is she encouraged my love of reading. And because she never really put any restrictions on what I could read, I read everything. I think I read The Count of Monte Cristo in the second grade.
Yeah, that's
And that
great.
kind of started a love of action adventure. And it at one point in life, I got this idea. And originally the first book was October Echoes. The first print is out of print.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that was 2001.
That would explain the dates. Now that's an FBI agent, a
and and
kidnapping,
a and an Irish Republican
Republican
Army
Army. Yeah.
enforcer.
Yeah. So what could possibly go wrong there, sis?
Yeah. But it was just a love of action adventure. One of my favorite authors is Jack Higgins,
Okay.
and I really like what he did with that with several of his main characters. But I also like Hooray, um, Patterson,
Oh, Patterson.
uh, things like that. But at one point, I saw a picture in the newspaper way back in 2001, 2000. And it was this little girl, and she's got tears coming down her face, but she's holding at her shoulder the coffin of her older brother who was
Oh.
killed in sectarian violence. And I couldn't get that picture out of my head. And that inspired the line that's in October Echoes: a lifetime of not having was etched on her face.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know where that I don't know where that came from, but it popped in my head, and that's how that book started, from an
Yeah.
image.
That just.
And as far as fan fiction goes, the although she's really shorter, the Irish character was action wise
Right.
really kind of inspired by Xena and Gabrielle. So it isn't, but it kind of is.
Is.
Okay, that was a really long-winded description.
No, no, I haven't read October Echoes, but after that, I think I should. And Life's Little Edge, uh, Gunrunner for a biker gang.
Yeah, it started with one sentence.
And
One
that
sentence inspired that whole book. Got a death wish? I can make that happen. That's how that book started.
that's how that started. Wow. You are actually my first guest who is a character in one of my books. I know, I
I
know.
loved doing that.
Well, the money went to a good cause, the
Yay.
scholarship, and I think I put it as, who would you like to be a psychic? And apparently you did. You outbid some people, and yeah, and then I called your wife behind your back and got some details, and you were like, "How did you know about that?" And I'm like, "I called Allison."
It's just I don't know why. Um, it never occurs to me that people are going to call their co-conspirator, who happens to be my wife. She's more than happy to give, info.
Well, that's probably because in more than one bio, she's described as your long-suffering wife.
Oh, she is very suffering. She has to live with all my antics. Oh, well, she doesn't have to, but
She does, and
she does.
happily.
And she makes sure that I'm fed and watered and have clean clothes and remember to go to work and.
Oh no, I have one of those. You've met Heather.
Yes.
Actually, I was at a conference, and my publisher kept bringing me food in the morning and stuff. Because Heather, I said, "Did my wife call you?" She said, "Yes." She said, "Make sure she eats, because she'll forget."
We do.
Yeah, I was busy. There was a
My
bar.
my my brain was doing things.
Right. Yeah, so you became a psychic, and I loved working with that one because you were like, what a terrible gift to have, because she could hear what everyone's thinking.
Yes.
So I
I mean,
stuck
that
you
would
in.
drive me nuts.
Oh yeah, yeah. Stuck her in an elevator. So that was fun. That was fun for me, not so much for the character.
It's
But
it's amazing how we torment our characters
oh, they tor
sometimes.
it. It's only fair. Do you feel that sometimes they torment you? Like,
Yes.
say your pair from the end and the resistance, facing the ends of days. And I'm sure they had a lot to say to the two of you because, again, you partnered with Shane Curry for these books, which the end shortlisted Ferdinand Banyan.
Did
Awesome.
it really? I didn't realize that. I just, my brain does things I don't pay attention to a lot, which is why I have a
Well,
wife.
I recall an award ceremony. You were dressed up. At the end, you said it was an honor to be nominated. So one of your
Was
books,
that
sure. I don't
was
know.
that Anne
Was that
Bannon? I
the?
thought that was a Goldie.
It was a Goldie,
It was a
which
Goldie.
it was just okay. Not just. They're lovely to have. I. All right. So the resistance in the end. How did you end up pairing up with Shane Curry?
She actually sent me a fan letter,
Wow.
and somebody had told her about Life's Little Edge when I had it online, and she read it, and it we became friends. But she has a very similar background to mine. She was actually in the very first co-ed military police school um, training group. And so she was a military police officer
Yes,
about
she
10
was.
years or so before me. So basically, she paid my way. That group of women, if they had not have done well, they would have scrapped the program.
Right.
But they did well. And because of that, I got to do the same thing. And it's never put two board MPs together
Right.
because strange things happen. And this the book ended up as part of the Montana road trip.
Oh,
'Cause
where there was
when you're
a
doing a road trip and you're
slipper
driving,
kidnapping.
yes. Well, I'm going to plead the fifth on the kidnapping. Um, I mean, there's photographic evidence. I shouldn't plead the fifth, but that was a fun moment. But the beginning of the end and the resistance and the hopefully very soon in the future third book of that trilogy. Um, that's where that started. It was a road trip conversation, and it's like the whole first book is like the road trip from hell.
So, how, why Montana? Why should I
Oh,
ask
we're
what?
doing a little bit of like a writer's retreat
Oh, okay.
at the place is called Hole in the Wall, and it's like a vacation place with little cabins, and it's in a box canyon with a little creek running through it. And when we were there, they had uh forest fire going on. You could see the smoke as we were going in. There was smoke and yeah, it was the escape plan was to get on horses and ride through the little box canyon thing to get out.
And
We
I could,
actually had a good time.
I, of course you did. I know the two of you. I bet you had a blast. Yeah. Well, now I could see how the story came about then, because
Mhm.
you've got two army. Uh, one's an officer, one's a sergeant, and at Fort Hood, and it's the end basically.
Yes,
They wake up one day and
shit has hit the fan.
the apocalypse is now. And then they start looking to see if there's anyone else out there, which begins in the end. And they meet a prepper. Of course they do. Preppers are going to be right once, just once, all right,
Just once.
just once. Um, so that started that whole journey. And to say there are twists and turns would be an understatement because,
Um,
yeah,
Between Shane and I, our brains are very scary places.
again, not surprised.
Um, And a lot of that comes from a lot of those twists and turns come from the the military training that we got because it army training has got to be the world's biggest CYA. You always think
Cover
about
your ass.
yep, you always think about what's the worst case scenario. You have to train for the worst case scenario and hope for the best. But because you train for the worst case scenario, you're almost always thinking, even in civilian life, almost always thinking, well, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
And that kind of leaks into writing because one of my first thoughts whenever I'm writing something, okay, what is the worst thing that could happen here in this situation? And then
And
you usually go with it.
well, yeah.
It's great for conflict.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Let's write that down.
Let's write the first four or five worst can happen and flip a coin.
Well, the two of you are incredibly inventive, and Shane and I were actually with the same publisher for a while. The Blue Feather Crowd.
Yay.
Yay! It was so much fun there. And then when I saw the two of you wrote a book together, I'm like, well, how in the hell did that happen? And I could just see your storming session. I know both your wives, and they deserve medals. Honest to God, I know.
Yes, they
And,
do.
and seeing the two of you together, I'm like, well, that must have been fun.
Yeah, we joke that that Allison and Brenda have to hold the bail money. It's not always a joke.
No, no, sure it's not.
With Shane and I, jail times are
These things happen.
yeah.
We call it
Allison does say that
research.
if I'm stupid enough to get caught, I'm serving time.
Yeah, you get caught. You're on your own. Yeah.
She'll collect my mail.
Water the plants, take care of the garden. Okay, are you out already? Oh,
I thought that was next week.
oh, damn it. I was going to have a party.
No, really, Allison deserves so much credit. I couldn't do the things I do if she wasn't like at my back. So
She's amazing. And we have several things around our house because Allison just said, I saw this and thought of you. And she nails it every time. It's like,
oh, she's fantastic about that. She's like, what do you think? It's like, yeah.
I think you know what you're doing. And okay.
Oh, and she's just got such a wonderful heart. She really does.
She does. She does. Okay. I'm a big fan of your wife and Brenda. Uh, uh, so I guess I remember the two of them probably like, oh, good, they're off together. That's great. Like in Montana, a road trip to Montana. Yay.
Well, the road trip to Montana was pre-wives.
Okay. Oh, okay. I did not know that. See, I'm learning.
Like
Uh,
2000, what was that? 2000 at the best.
the end was
2005.
published in 2017. I
So
don't know.
if I remember correctly, the trip to Montana was 2005, maybe 2006.
I wasn't there.
It was before Life's Little Edge because I had writer's block.
Oh, okay.
And during that trip, I wrote 16 pages in the bar, drinking beer with Shane. It broke my writer's block.
Well, having a couple of pints with Shane. I could see what that would open some stuff up, your imaginations. Now, you talked about writer's block. I mean,
Yes,
that's a special kind of hell for writers.
it is.
You just sit there going, you try
And the
everything.
characters are sitting in my head going, well, come on, let's go.
We're ready.
And I'm like, well, do something. No, you're the writer, you do it.
Oh, we're just along for the ride.
Except for when they take over
Mm.
and take you places you were like, whoa, didn't see that detour coming.
right? Um, uh, Now when the detours that your characters could take you on, what was the funkiest detour you had happen without a spoiler happening here?
The funkiest detour was Life's Little Edge when when a character seemed to take over
Yeah.
from the main character to the secondary character who's at some point going to get her own book if that block ever goes away.
uh,
Um, and for the moment, I can't remember the character's name.
I didn't write it down, so I can't help you.
I hate when I do that.
Yeah.
It'll come to
No,
me 2 minutes after we're done.
I people like can quote your work and stuff, and sometimes you're standing there like, and you did this to me, and you quoted a line. I said, "Oh, that's funny." You were like, you wrote it. It's from Finding My Way."
You
So
look like a bleeder.
oh, that's the one. It's Nicole. Oh God, I love that character. She's so much fun. Yeah, and I was
uh,
like, oh, I did. Oh, okay. Oh,
it
wait a
just
minute.
usually it's the lines that make me feel the most are the ones
Mhm.
that I remember. And that one made me laugh so hard that I cried. I gave myself hiccups laughing at that line.
That was a fun book, and the characters definitely took over. And the notes I got from the editor, Tara Young, was just like, "Oh my God, I love this woman."
That was a great, great book.
It
And
was
yeah,
fun.
a fantastic character.
Not as much fun as that Roe Graskey in Muriel Island. Let's stick you on an island
With goats,
with goats and it knows what you're
spiders,
afraid of.
spiders.
That actually is like the number one phobia when I was looking up the spiders.
Really?
Yeah, it was like right up there. It was like in the top like three with
Yeah.
spiders.
Ugh. Ugh.
I'm not a fan. I'm just, I will set them free though. Like, oh,
Oh
that's it.
yeah.
And Heather's
As
like,
long as
kill
they're
it, kill it, get it out.
look, I'm gonna give it a fighting chance, but it's going outside.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it outside if I can. Well, I wasn't surprised when there was a sequel to the end because there was so much more. I felt there was more to say, and obviously you and Shane agreed because then we have the Resistance, which haven't finished because I was writing my own book.
I'll forgive you.
Yeah, but yeah, so to team up again for a second book, or was the second book pretty much done because you didn't want to do a 500-page first book?
We didn't want to do a 500-page first book, but we knew to tell the story not necessarily completely, um, but to tell the best story we can, we knew it was going to take at least two, probably three. So, because it's kind of like stages, and it's like
Okay,
stages of a battle itself. There's always the initial contact stage, there's the regroup stage, and then there's what you do to finally win the war game.
right.
So it's usually things like that are like in this three stages.
So there's more coming.
Yes, we have
Hey.
gone through, and we want to apologize to everybody. Um, we didn't expect to getting to book three to take this long. Um, Life has gotten in the way. Um, those big momentous things in life
Oh,
that
well,
interrupt. Um, for, just speaking for myself, we've lost
you and Shane have both
my
lost
mother-in-law.
parents. Yeah.
Yeah, lost my mother-in-law. My mom died earlier this
Oh,
year, and we just lost our baby, our Irish Wolfhound,
yes, Jesse.
Jesse. Um, so the last 3 years have been 3, 4 years have been upheaval and creative interrupting crises. So
Plus,
we
you're going to school. You're back
I
in
did go back to school and
school.
finally graduate.
Yes. So
Yay!
excited.
I have to do this. Guns up. Guns up. Rackham Tech.
Back to school. You graduated.
In fact, we have just finished today um clearing out my father-in-law and mother-in-law's house.
Right.
Um dad is fine. He moved to a retirement community and the house sold, so poor Allison had to do a majority of the work to get this all done. And the last of the stuff just got moved into the house today, our house.
Oh,
So that is no longer um, on our plate. So that's one of those weights that gets to be lifted, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. So that kind of helps with the whole feeling like I can go back to trying to be creative. So, but
yeah,
it's been a long 3 or 4 years.
it has.
So,
And you are
and
married.
COVID, yes,
All nice and
and
legal. Yeah.
yay.
Hey.
Um, so hopefully my brain will start again soon.
Well, I know that Shane is also had like and they're going to be moving soon, and so it's a lot. People forget that the writers actually have lives. You also have a full-time job.
Yes,
Yeah. And are you still part-time doing the ghost tours?
I am not.
Oh.
My full-time job is as security in a museum,
Hmm.
but we're also an event space. So they do weddings, corporate parties, that sort of thing. So there are a lot of times when I have to work extra hours, which would cut into the haunted tour. Um, but I really enjoyed that.
Oh, Galveston, I've not been, as you know, because you keep
You
inviting us.
have to
We
come.
have to go, and it's on our list of places we have to go. But it has such a rich history. Uh,
Yes.
we'll, we'll
It
we'll call it
is
rich. Oh,
it's considered one of the most haunted places in America. But it has this fantastic history to it. A
mhm.
lot of the firsts in Texas happened in Galveston.
I did not know that.
June Juneteenth.
Okay.
Galveston was the first reading of the Emancipation Proclamation in the South.
I do know that Galveston, like Austin, uh, is a great place. Very cool. A little bit of blue in Texas. But you
Yes.
you said without the slogan. You already keep it weird. You just don't feel a need to slap that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you have to say let's keep this way, you're trying too hard. Just let it happen naturally.
I'm not going to put
But
Austin down. I love Austin. But I've only been to two places in Texas, Dallas and Austin, and I had a great time in both. But I kept going back.
well, I like Galveston. A lot of what I like about Galveston, it is one of the friendliest places I've ever been. I've been a lot of places. It's one of the friendliest places I've ever been. Um, two, um, there's a bumper sticker out there that says Galveston near Texas. It is in so many ways such a live and let live place.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's like any place else with its own little problems, but it's nothing to see, two men walking down the street holding hands, like on the
Awesome.
beach. and literally no heads turn.
This is
Um,
really.
so unless you're like just showing your ass or trashing the beach or something, that's when we're gonna get on you. But it is in so many ways a live and let live kind of place.
And now that life is, as you said, coming down, it's sure that environment's going to be very inspirational. I hope.
Oh, definitely. Sometimes just to sit and think, I will go, park on the seawall and just look out at the ocean
Awesome.
and just chill. And it's a super de-stressor. And
Awesome.
then when I'm not stressed, my brain goes,
Yeah, you get a chance to work. Okay, so so much fun. I'm looking forward to the third book, which will at some point be coming. So we're
at
gonna
some
keep
point,
our
yes.
yeah, keep our eyes and ears open and
I keep scribbling notes. So
all right. So when it is, you'll come back. We'll talk about that.
yes.
Okay. We are running a little short on time now. Okay, so
No.
Life's Little Edge, October Echoes, and of course the Sanctuary series, The End and the Resistance. And in the promo, I said your books are filled with twists and turns. So it's a bumpy ride. So as Betty Davis said, fasten your seatbelts.
Grab a helmet.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ro. You can find Ro's books at fine booksellers everywhere. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.